What's up, KidPoint? Pastor Evan here, back for day 5 of Holy Week. That means it's Maundy Thursday. Now, on Sunday, we celebrated Palm Sunday, and we put something in our resurrection egg to remind us that Jesus came into Jerusalem riding on a donkey, and people put palm leaves in front of him to signify that he was the king who was coming. On Monday, we put a piece of string in here to remind us that Jesus drove the money changers out of the temple to show that God himself had sent Jesus down in order to show people what the kingdom of heaven was really like. On Tuesday, the scribes and Pharisees, they questioned Jesus and they questioned his authority, but Jesus showed them that he had royal, that's why we put a piece of purple in there, authority from heaven to say what the kingdom of heaven was like. On Wednesday, we showed that sometimes even Jesus' closest followers didn't understand what he was doing. And so Judas Iscariot went to the chief priests and he betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. That was not very much. But on Thursday, Jesus did something with his disciples that was so incredibly powerful. He celebrated the Passover meal with them. Now, the Passover was something that the Israelite people and the Jewish people had celebrated for hundreds of years. In fact, almost thousands of years. It was to remember and celebrate God delivering them, rescuing them from Egypt. And so what they would do is they would gather together for a meal, and they had a Passover lamb that would be there. They would kill the lamb and they would cook it and eat it together, all together as a group. And one of the things that Jesus did was he identified himself with that Passover lamb. He said, I'm the lamb who's going to be given to save the world. And to remember that, Jesus gave his disciples bread. So I've got a Ritz cracker here. He gave his disciples bread, and they passed around a cup of juice together, a cup of wine together. And they celebrated this meal. He said, this bread is my body that's broken for you. Do this to remember me. And he gave them the cup, and he said, this cup is a new agreement, a new promise from God that's in my blood. Do this whenever you drink it in remembrance of me. He was saying that he was going to give all of his life in order to rescue every person who had ever lived. And so on Thursday, we celebrate Jesus celebrating the Passover meal with his disciples. And then he went to the garden and was actually captured by the Jewish leaders and the chief priests. On Maundy Thursday, he was taken captive, and Good Friday was coming next. And so tomorrow, we're going to put something into the resurrection egg that celebrates one of the hardest days in the history of the world. So stay tuned for tomorrow as we get to Good Friday in the resurrection egg.